Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to F1 2020. This is MyTeam Principal. It's episode number 2. Of course, in this series, this is where we're going to take a more motorsport management approach to this one, instead of playing the traditional career that so many other channels are all actively doing. And it's great. It's great to be able to go through race weekends and do that whole thing. But that's the same old. We are mixing it up. It's still my team, but we are playing it as Team Principal. So occasional races that we'll get involved in, we'll get out on the track from time to time, and I hope to do so in this episode. But for the most part, we are using Simulate Session, and we are in China. Let's go ahead and do that here. Usual suspects going 1-2, and then 3-4, and then 5-6. In game, they still have Ferrari well above the midfield, even though in real life they're very much in the mix of the midfield, at least at this point, early in the season, through one in a partial race. Tsunoda with another excellent result, 12th place. Of course, car-wise, really that's right where the car is. It's just the weakness of my second driver, Ralph Balchon, who's not getting the most out of the car, isn't getting through the field at all, and very much in the back and below where they should be. So I really need to start working on a second driver. But as I mentioned in the last episode, Ralph Balchon, you're limited on your choices at the start. Balchon is not the answer. We'll be swapping Balchon out soon enough. Next up is the Dutch Grand Prix. We've got 2 sets of 4 in our activity timeline. Race simulations, second driver, not going to work on that. Chassis, team building could be good. Durability as well, resource points coming with that one. I do like the idea of the resource points. Another second driver one, we won't focus there. That's another second driver one. So we're down to the bottom line. I've got 2 2-days and a 3-day. Well, looks like we've got a perfect fit. 2 2-days and a 3-day. Let's go ahead and knock out the 2 2-days. And then we'll grab the 3-day event as well. And that'll set us up for the race weekend. We're not too far off now from being able to replace Balchon. It's actually still away, 77 days. So 6th of July is when that contract expires and when we'll be able to do something. But in the meantime, there is something we can do right now.
Spend any extra money that you secured on perks. Each of these perks benefit both you and your current team. They stay with you, so they'll make you a more attractive prospect in future negotiations.
Alright, so looks like we can raise our driver a claim. Engine wear. Get some media coaching. I'm actually not going out on track hardly ever. Let's stay away from that one for now. And we'll grab resource point income. So reshaping the combustion chamber will give us a minor improvement on our fuel efficiency. It's going to take a couple race weekends before it's done, as the Spanish Grand Prix is just a week after the Dutch Grand Prix. But it should be done well before we head to Monaco. And in case it fails, it'll give us time to fix it before Monaco. Aero upgrade available, and then it looks like it succeeded. Now we have another interview with Will Buxton.
Thanks so much for the invitation to your HQ. Let's have a little chat about the team's performance this season.
I really have to say, I love the direction Cody's have gone with the game this year. There is so much more depth to it. And of course I've got to throw that out to FIA for allowing this development in the game to happen, and really other series as they've been much more generous with their handing out the license to put F1 into games. And it's been really fantastic to see the presence across Media really at the center of making that all happen. But Codemasters has really put together something special with this game compared to the previous versions that really got boring after a pretty short period of time. So we hop in the car here at Zandvoort for qualifying. So I'm going to partake in qualifying for this one. We'll still simulate the race. I'd like to get behind the wheel, and I'd like to get a feel for this new track a bit more. I did not partake in practice, so I'm still going to have that challenge and that difficulty of not being too familiar with the track. But here's the thing. We start every race from dead last. So I can't do any worse. By participating, I'm at least going to get some points and some acclaim, and we can only do better. So I figure this is a great way to get started and at least get behind the wheel a little bit. But with that, let's get out there and see what we can do. So first flying lap of the year. And I'm on a new track that I'm very unfamiliar with, that I've been on with fairly low AI, but the AI is much higher for this. Really slow through there. I definitely think there's close to a second more, or at least tenths of a second available through there. Same there as well. Oh. So after that first run, we're 19th, 4/10ths up on my teammate, only 4 1,000ths behind Magnussen for 18th. It looks like that's about where I should be, and that really wasn't the best lap. So in terms of the AI, if I really committed and did a full practice session, I would definitely be a bit up from here. So meaning the AI is a little below where I should be, but without the practice and kind of just jumping behind the wheel and going for it, seems like I'm right where I should be relative. So we're going to go for one more run and see if we can do a bit better. It was far from being the cleanest lap. And it looks like it was the third sector where I gained the most. Poor exit there, though, and I give back some of what I gained since then. Nearly 3/10ths could definitely make a difference.
We have 2 laps of fuel remaining.
Nearly half a second up on an extra run here. Found a lot more time in Sector 1 than I did the first 2 runs. We found even more time here in Sector 2, another 10th.
You're up to P9 without last lap time.
That should be enough to get out of Q1. Head back to the garage. So it took me my 3rd lap to finally get a good time in, but it's good enough for P9. We'll see if that holds as everybody goes with their times wow, we held P9, so excellent result there. And teammate, meanwhile, Boschung just 21st. Ouch. Bad time for them. But no surprises in the bottom 6. And qualifying wise, that lap put me right where the AI has been putting me in the races. This lap feels really good so far. We'll see if I can maintain the time through the end. But this at least should be similar to the last lap time we had in Q1, if not better. So I managed a purple sector 3, which was pretty awesome. I did lose about a half a second in sector 2, while sector 1, right there with Hamilton and Leclerc. Not the fastest, but not that far off.
314.4 kilometers per hour.
So that 6th place, I think that might be enough to get us through to Q3, and it might not be, to be honest, you know. But because there's only a couple tenths between me and 10th place, I think I'm content positionally with where we'll end up from this time. If I get out of the session, great. If not, 11th or 12th is a great starting position, and I think that's good enough already. I was right, it was good enough. We take P7 in the session. Without a lap, we'll start from P10. And our driver is all set. I'm not going to partake in 3. We'll go ahead and skip on through. It'll be interesting to see what happens in this 18 lap, 25% race. One stop surely to be the way to go, but starting on the soft compound, used tire, bit of a disadvantage. But starting in 10th instead of 22nd is a huge advantage. So will the AI be able to hang on to a position in the points, or will they drop back? I'm guessing that they'll probably be able to hang on to 7th or 8th place, but we'll see if that's the case. As predicted, we take 7th place in the race. Surprise win for Sebastian Vettel. Ferrari, again in this game, is classified pretty high. Leclerc puts in the fastest time, just 2 1,000ths of a second faster than Vettel. We never could match the time of front runners, but we did match time with Ricciardo, almost with Perez. And we were quicker than that. Sainz had a good time, but finished down in 13th for some reason. And Boschung was last in this race. The advantage of our car is definitely present, but Boschung, just the AI of Boschung is such a lower level than the other cars that a technical racetrack like this one, I think, really hurt them race pace wise, and they end up at the back of the grid. In terms of standings, I'm 7th place, best of the rest at this point, behind the big 6 that have a huge advantage in points. Bottas now 4 ahead of Hamilton, and they are running away with this one from Verstappen, 1 point ahead of Vettel, 4 ahead of Leclerc, another 4 ahead of Albon. And then huge gap, limited points. I'm at 14. Ricciardo and Sainz are both 1 point further back. And then Ocon, Norris, Stroll, Perez all in it, picking up points, but pretty minimal points between all of us as we seem to just be battling it out for 7, 8, 9, 10. and no one else has scored yet. So in the constructors, we're ahead of Racing Point by 3. 5 behind McLaren, 7 behind Renault. Big battle for 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the other 4 teams look unlikely to score anytime soon. Though you figure AlphaTauri or Alfa Romeo at some point will pick up points. Haas, it's hard to say whether they'll be able to score any points this season or not, especially with the extra team on the grid, my driver fighting for positions, meaning there's kind of one less spot for Haas to get up into this year. But the engine power at some point, maybe Monza, they might do well. We'll see. Spanish Grand Prix back-to-back weekends, so we only have 2 days to do something before we have to head into that next Grand Prix weekend and begin that travel phase. So limited choices. Driver promotion is a 1-day event and is for that second driver who's going to be fired, so that one's definitely out. Powertrain, we could definitely work on their morale. Weight training is for the driver, so we could take some team acclaim or power team building. Let's go for the team acclaim at this point. We're really close to level 5, which comes with another secondary sponsor. Not enough money for facilities. Definitely do have points for another R&D upgrade. Renault, we're right on their tail now, but Alfa Romeo also right on our tail, and we've pulled a little bit away from AlphaTauri. And Haas is caught up this week. They were neck and neck with Williams, and now they're right on the heels of AlphaTauri. Really tight battle from Racing Point all the way down to AlphaTauri in the midfield. As weak as our chassis is, I think that's the next place I definitely need to invest in and take a couple of race weekends before it's done, and there's a definite chance of failure. We still have 640 points left. Actually 3 major upgrades, so we can't afford any of those right now. So Aero will have to wait. One thing that does leave is actually a possibility to finally get into durability. I think I like the idea of trying to pick up that first gearbox durability upgrade. Next up, though, I think we need to spend 1,000 points and get a major aero upgrade going. As we head to Spain for the next race, real risky move to stick with the ICE for one more race. We're at 69% wear. It could last another 87 laps, and over this next race weekend, by late in the race, it could lead to some issues. But we're going to try to get one more race out of it before we move on to our next, so that we push back penalties at least a little bit. We're generally starting from the back, so it's not that big of a deal. But we'll give it one more and see how it goes. So Sainz claims best of the rest today. Verstappen claims the win from 3rd place. Hamilton on pole drops to 4th. Unfortunate day for him. Bottas ends up pulling ahead a little bit in the Drivers' Championship. Noda takes 12th place. Another good result, but obviously not into the points this time. And Boschung takes 21st. So really continue to struggle for them. Their time with the team is getting more and more limited. Double sponsorship opportunities. We have potential to renew, but we also add, as we hit level 5 of Acclaim, 2 opportunities. But now that I know a little more about my team, about my driver, and what they can do, we'll take a deeper look at what's out there. And also with the higher acclaim, you can see that there is more money involved. Moon offering $152,000 a week, way more than what anyone was offering before. But we're not going to take first place, so the gold bonus, not really an option. 10 points, we're not getting that high up, so still too far. Top 10 can happen, but it's not going to happen every week. Looks like it's happening maybe every other week so far. So it's something to consider, but it definitely drops down. Say it happens every other week, then we're looking at an extra 85,000 being the average, so that brings it to about 210. So we'll look at this as a $210,000 a week contract. Top 12. We've done that almost every single race. All but one, I think. So we could say that's a $150,000 evaluation, $140,000 a week. So let's say 140. That's 265. So we ran that down a little further. So 265, much better than DSB. So 265, that's the highest right now. Qualify, no, we're not going to qualify high. Achieve the fastest lap during a race, we're not that fast. Overtake 15, that means you've got to get up to P7, or Bashang has to actually pass some cars, which they're not doing. That's finished top 10, that's a little harder than top 12. That's even harder. And then we're back down to this one. That's 246. And that's pretty much guaranteed. I think that's going to be the 2 we take. So let's go ahead and grab this one. And no DNFs. Almost guaranteed to get both of those, and that's going to bring us in almost $500,000 a week with the bonuses. And then meanwhile, the main sponsor, that's going to bring us to almost $850,000 a week. Big improvement on our weekly income. 56 days till Bashang is replaced. So from practice to qualifying, we're going to go ahead and switch out the ICE, the MGU-H, and the turbo. I've already swapped out the event gearbox in advance of the weekend, so we'll be all set for a quick Monaco race. I also now have the R&D points that I'll need to do that aero upgrade once the weekend is over. Bashang finishes the race in 20th position. Not a good result. Just ahead of the 2 Williams drivers. Another bad weekend. Their days are very numbered, but we put up with it for now. Meanwhile, Leclerc struggles in this race, doesn't finish with the big 6. They finish down in 9th place, just getting inside the points. And that opens the door for one of the midfield teams to get up to 6th place, and it just so happened to be Noda. So Noda claims 6th place in this one, scoring a very valuable 8 points. Bottas claims another victory, again taking Hamilton away from pole and stealing the victory. 0.4 of a second quicker on the best lap of this one. Noda has slipped to 8th place in the standings behind Sainz, but only 2 points behind. Albon moves ahead of Leclerc in this race to 5th place. And in the Constructors, we move up ahead of Racing Point into 6th place with 22 points, but it's still a very tight battle. McLaren, though, starting to pull away just a little bit in 4th place. So we are right on the heels of Renault and Racing Point just behind us. Still no points for the bottom 4 teams. That's going to do it for this episode. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to hit that like button, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there, and bye for now.